This is the Makeup Show podcast, where we take some time every week to talk all things about makeup, from kit to career, from artistry to inspiration, and everything in between. With decades of experience in all areas of the industry, award-winning makeup artists Danessa Myricks and James Vincent travel the world meeting and educating makeup lovers. In this podcast, Danessa and James share the wealth of their knowledge and career insights with you.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm Danessa Myricks.
And I'm James Vincent.
And this is the Makeup Show podcast. Thank you
welcome,
guys so
welcome.
much. Okay, well, right off the bat, because it probably seems weird, there is another face on the screen right now, and it's totally fine. We are so lucky to have a very special guest with us today that we'll get into a second, but really appreciate you guys joining us again for another week of chatting about all things industry and how artists can align and educate and be inspired. I'm here with my co-host, as always, the delicious James Vincent.
Oh, I love that I'm delicious.
Oh, you knew that.
I am happy to be back. And you know, Danessa, since everything has gone on this video platform as well as our podcast platforms, we've been getting so many messages from makeup artists all over the world, from beauty pros all over the world, kind of taking in the information that we're giving. And we've been really focusing a lot on how do you move forward as an individual? How are you connecting to the clients that you're not seeing right now? How are you taking care of your kit? How are you taking care of your self-care and all of the things that are happening in the world? And a lot of people are asking, how can I support our beauty community? And I thought, what better way to do that than to invite in one of my favorite people. He is my little brother in this beauty business. He is someone who impresses me with everything that he does. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Duenas.
That was probably the best intro I've ever had in my life.
Oh, I'm just getting started.
And guys, before we move on, and for those of you who are listening and not watching, you are missing the most amazing smile you'll ever see in your life. Like, immediately fall in love. Like, it's really clear that there's a big heart behind that big smile. So, well, if you're missing, sorry.
I'm so red now. I'm blushing.
So we're going to be talking today about Michael Duenas' new program that he has started called Support Creatives. And I'm really excited to get into that. But Mikey, I call him Mikey. He's like my little brother. But Michael, for the people who are listening at home who might be meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about kind of how you got your start in this industry and what you do? Because you do a lot of different things. You're like Danessa Myricks, doing every little thing.
No one's as good as Danessa. Come on. I'm just trying to keep up. Yeah, thank you, James. So I've been doing hair for 20 years, and I started off when I was actually in high school, and I had a full clientele at a salon when I was a sophomore. So I would go to school, leave school, and then go work at a salon for 8 hours. And so by the time I graduated, I was working 40 hours a week with a full clientele. And that pushed me into education really quick because for my age, I already had a few years experience and above where others were since I started very early. And I started working for a company called Schwarzkopf and traveling all over the United States for them every single weekend, teaching classes, and then I became their ambassador for the US and helped with creating their collections and their education and really expanding the brand. From that point, I had lived in Los Angeles. I moved to New York in with the best person on the planet, James Vincent, who helped steer me down an entirely new path. So I went from education and salon work to full freelance because he kind of just threw me into that. And from that point on, I just divulged straight into editorial work and then started working with celebrities. I worked with Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga. I currently work with Rachel Brosnahan, Padma Lakshmi, Noah Cyrus.
A few unknowns,
Yeah, you know, just a handful of small people. Many more than that that I continue to work with. And I was fortunate enough to become the ambassador and consulting celebrity hairdresser for Garnier for a while. And so I grew my mass market education and appeal And now I'm the ambassador for a professional brand called Aloxi Hair International. And I create all their collections for them. I help them with all their education, social media, and just kind of build the brand from the inside out, as well as still working with my agent, booking me on my clients that I have. But that's not all that I do, because I like to stay busy. I am also a professional photographer. I've shot ad campaigns, shot my clients for different magazines, product photography, landscape photography. And then now I am starting a whole new chapter in my life, and it's Support Creatives Nonprofit. Started that with my wife, Melody. And we are here to take care of hair and makeup artists the best way that we can, offering financial grants, mentor programs, and also offering digital, online, and interactive classes to where you can actually show your educator how you're applying that shadow, and they can look and tell you if it's correct, and or how you're standing holding that section while you're cutting hair, and they can tell you where your body positioning is supposed to be. So we're doing it very differently.
Well, there's a lot of information.
There, yeah.
A lot.
Wow.
That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You know, it's really ridiculous how lazy you are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I need to work on being better. But that's just
And
the
he's
tip of
one
it.
of
I have
those-
some other things.
He's one of those people that's like good at everything he does. Like there's a lamp across the room from me that he made by hand. Like what?
I'm trying not to hate him.
You know, it's funny because you and Danessa remind me of each other so often in the way that you kind of approach every part of this business with the same enthusiasm. And you gave us a lot of information, so I want to unpack it a little bit.
Please.
You were working with education. You have met so many hairstylists and makeup artists kind of on that journey. What is it about education that you feel like it's so important for people who might be saying, okay, well, I've already been doing this for 10 years, or I'm just getting started? How does education affect the individual, and how can it make them stronger at a time where we really don't know what moving forward looks like?
It's a great question. So your foundation and the start of your entire career is based on education. So I can never wrap my head around when someone's like, well, I already learned this, I'm good. You're just plateauing yourself, because it's really hard to further your own skill without even taking classes or watching others. For example, I've been doing hair for 20 years, teaching for 20 years. I still will watch IG Lives. I still will take classes from my peers, because I'm always like, why aren't I doing that? It brings up things that you used to do in the past. And with saying that, moving forward in our new current climate and situation that we're having, old methods aren't going to work. You have to learn now how to sterilize everything, how to clean everything. And that's part of your education. It's not just an application wise. That's part of your education on how to be a better artist, because your tools need to stay very clean. The way you work needs to change. There's no more just using your brush and laying it back on the towel, because now that towel can be contaminated. And that's all part of education. I don't think education is just purely technique. I think education is how you run your business, how you work with your tools outside of actually applying them on a face, but cleaning and taking care of them, and also how you manage yourself. And I think that all falls into the same categories of education. And right now, that's more important than ever, is to adapt and change to what you're doing, because our old methods no longer are going to apply. I can't foresee us going back to the exact same way that we were with how we are actually doing makeup and or hair.
Danessa, you and I have had that discussion on the podcast, and as well. The roles are changing. Did you, when you hear Mikey saying these things, it's like listening to some of the words that you say all the time. For the artists or stylists who are traditionally really making their living just by application, you two are such business owners, you're so business savvy. What advice would you have for people who might be looking and saying, okay, well, all of my money is made by applying makeup or cutting hair? Is diversification important to someone's skill set as well right now, or should they be focusing on that main thing that has always made them money?
It's so funny that you said that, because while Mikey, I'm going to call you Mikey too.
Mikey.
Well,
It's
Mikey,
my grown-up name.
I love it. While you were talking, I literally wrote down 4 different product ideas. just from those few sentences, because you heightened my awareness. And I thought everything that what you were saying was so important, and especially the idea of constantly learning. I always, James and I offer a lot of education in a lot of places. And it is true that a lot of people don't want to pay to learn anything more. They really do feel like they've learned it all.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talked about scrolling through IG and looking through stories, watching people's Insta stories and so on, I'm so inspired by even new artists. There's different types of information you learn from different people. And when you've been doing makeup or doing hair or something for 20 years, you kind of lose the freshness. So sometimes it's nice to even look at somebody who's brand new, because there's a whole different energy there. You're like, what are they doing with that brush? And it's not like you're copying. It's just like you said, it's like it kind of ignites you and inspires you to think a little bit more, to dig a little deeper, or to remember things that you used to do that you abandoned in the very beginning when you were like reckless and fun and doing it all. And now you're very regimented. I know I need to do this, and this is my schedule. And you kind of lose the fun and the flexibility in your artistry, whether it's hair, makeup, or anything. So I loved just hearing you talk about that, because I'm so probably overstimulated by watching other people work. Like listening to you talk, like you think I'm lying. These are my ideas. Don't look. I wrote them down.
Put that back up.
I was like, wow, I'm so inspired. So there's so much value in it. There's so much value in sharing space with other creatives and whatever way it is. But when it comes down to education and learning from someone who truly knows, I mean, it can only take your skill set to, levels that you couldn't even imagine. So I took every second, every syllable of what he said in, for sure.
Well, and Mikey, I'm going to kick it back to you to kind of expand on that, because you and I always are kind of coming up with ideas, and I feel like this is a group of idea people. And Mikey and I reconnected last week, and I was like, oh yeah, I have 4 business plans that I'm working on right now. And he was like, oh yeah, I have 5, and it's like,
you make me sound like a one-upper.
No, I think that it's important. How important is it? Let's talk about that for a moment before we get into the details of the program. How important is it right now to kind of surround yourself with other people who are innovators, other people who are idea people? Because I think right now, there are so many people out there who, I always say, from the beginning of time, there's always been people talking about the end of days, right? There's so much doom and gloom. And what I'm really doing is surrounding myself with people that are like, I got this new thing going on. How important is it for you, Michael, and for you, Danessa, to surround yourself with other creatives who are actually innovators and idea people, and maybe optimistic in this moment?
I'll jump if that's cool. So for me, it's very important for me to surround myself by other creatives. I will get locked into a box of, I'm a hairdresser, this is all that'll do, this is how I do hair, this is the type of hair. And it becomes this long, streamlined hallway where it's hard to find a way out, a different door to something new. And you start doubting yourself if you start getting slow, and you start doubting your creativity. And everyone has their ebb and flow. Everyone goes up and down, no matter how established you are. And so surround yourself with other creatives who are just like, hey, I'm doing this. I have this idea. And it's suddenly you're like, why didn't I think of something of that nature? Why didn't I push myself? Why did I get complacent? So when you get complacent, it shows in your work as well. But if you have other creative outlets and another way for your mind to kind of wander and build and strategize, you get more creative in your passion, which is your craft, hair or makeup, styling, whatever it happens to be. And so having other creatives around you empowers you and keeps you moving. For example, I was feeling stressed that I have 5 different brands that I'm trying to launch in different initiatives. And I talked to James and I have 4 things going. I'm like, yes, my peers are doing the same thing. I'm on the right track. And we're all here trying to grow and build ourselves. But in doing that, it's a way that we support the community. And there's a little sidetrack. I do think it's very important for you to have different initiatives and different goals. Because unfortunately, if you are freelance, you don't have the most security. You don't know that one day and this is a harsh reality of it, one day it could all just end, no matter how established you are, and you don't have that security. And so if you build up other initiatives and surround yourself with other creatives who are just as motivated, then you build goals for yourself And then you always have somewhere to go to be like, hey, can I help you on this project? And you can help your fellow creatives. You can help your peers. And that feels just as good as going down your own path.
I love that. Danessa, I know you want to add to that.
No, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to add anything to because he really just digs so deep. There was something that you sparked when you were talking about kind of being in your own box. And what that stirred up for me is the fact that we do get caught up in our own space with our own clients and the thing that we do routinely, but our clients are seeing everyone. So there could be so much that's being missed. And when you talk about new ideas and new approaches, you know, you doing the same thing all the time without taking a second to see what's happening in the world around you, you will wake up and be lost and be, you know, so far behind everything else that's happening in the world. So I love the idea of kind of like shifting your space and looking at the world from different perspectives, because it always will keep you fresh. Like having multiple initiatives keeps you fresh. It gives you a different viewpoint of your life, of just how you're moving in your day to day, how the world is moving, how your industry is moving. So I just have to like co-sign everything that you just said. Is super important.
I think it's also important to acknowledge that it isn't always easy. I was listening to Brene Brown the other day, and you know, she was talking about how difficult it can be to move yourself outside of the role of expert, you know. And I think that's something that we all deal with so often. If I know that someone is seeing me as an expert in one way, it becomes very difficult for me to become a student sometimes. But I have really pushed in the last few years to take a lot of classes to study different areas, not just makeup, so that I can truly be an adaptable person, an adult who has multiple interests. You know, I feel like one of the things that has happened for a lot of makeup artists is that our sole focus becomes our makeup career, and then you start to lose the friendships, the hobbies, you know, the passions that really kind of made you a well-rounded artist in the first place. So I want to start talking about support creatives. Michael, can you kind of tell us a little bit about support creatives and kind of why you started it and what its primary function is? And then I'll kind of break down the different pieces of the organization, if that's cool.
Absolutely. So this is my newest initiative, but it's also probably something that I've been the most passionate about in my existence. Wow. I've always wanted to do something for the better good, and I used to donate my time at a women's battered shelter, cutting their hair and making them feel better about themselves, and that was kind of a fulfillment of a charity aspect that I wanted. And I always wanted to do more, and so did my wife Melody, but with our careers and being so busy, sometimes it's very hard to grow something much larger. So when we did unfortunately get quarantined and this world flipped upside down, I suddenly had more time on my hands than I've ever had. So we took this moment and that initiative to be like, oh my gosh, if I'm in this situation, and I'm not in a horrible situation, but if I'm in this situation that I'm at with no work, no income, there's hundreds of thousands of people that are in the same and or worse. And I can never want to be in a worse situation. I can never want someone else to be in a worse situation. I don't want to imagine what that is, but you have to. Otherwise, you'll sit comfortably in your chair and think the world is okay when everything's falling down around you. Right. So with this initiative, we wanted to actually change people's lives and give people an opportunity to not have that stress. Stress makes lifespans so much shorter on its own. So why, if we can fix that, if we can help people, if we can extend their life and give them a better quality and a better purpose, why not do that? So a lot of that has to do with financial means right now. A lot of freelancers, until the CARE Act passed, and it's still difficult to qualify, cannot get unemployment. A lot of freelancers don't qualify for PPP, depending on how you have paid yourself. So you don't really have any options. So we wanted to fill that void and give you those options. You don't have to be a licensed cosmetologist. You don't have to have a license in your craft. You just have to show proof that you have been doing your craft and that you're established in it and you're working at it, and other means of accountability financially. And we will grant you funds so you can have funds to keep everything going, keep a roof over your head, because that's one of the biggest stressors. Wow. That's one of our main programs that we offer at our nonprofit. But on top of that, we offer mentorship, which without James, you were a mentor for me when I was living with you. I came to you with the most asinine questions I could ever fathom, and you just stared at me back. Are you serious right now? Or James would be in his room enjoying his life, and I'd go in the kitchen in my underwear and make dinner and try and ask him questions. And he'd be like, "Get out with your salad."
We spent a lot of time in our underwear. Yeah.
I love it.
And it was constant. But if it wasn't for James, I would be in such a different career path. One that not as happy that I would have been in. There's nothing wrong with being in the salon world, but the salon world was never for me. And that's where I was locked in until I met James, and he showed me another way, another light, and guided me through my path. And I want to offer that to as many other artists as I can, because you could think that you're doing everything fantastic and everything just right. But the moment you talk to someone who's been through different trials and tribulations and different career paths, you're suddenly like, why aren't I doing it like that? I can better myself. I can go from here to here in a matter of a month. I haven't been applying myself, and that mentor just unlocks so much potential inside of you. So that's one other program that we're offering.
I love that. Danessa and I are huge advocates for mentorship, and I want to kind of break down the different areas. For those of you that don't know, also, Michael's wife, Melody O'Flaherty, is a PR person. I think Melody does PR for the makeup show and probably 7 other brands that I work with right now. So all of you probably know Melody as well. I want to talk about mentorship a little bit and the mentorship aspect of the program, because it's very different than some of the other programs that are out there. And I actually am involved with Support Creatives as a mentor. I start with my first mentee tomorrow afternoon. So that's very exciting. So tell us a little bit about the mentorship.
I need my invitation. I want to be a mentor.
I would be honored to have you as a mentor.
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding
me? I
me?
got really jealous just now, James. How do you do that?
You're hired. You're on. I'm sorry.
Okay, done.
For an answer now.
Mikey, you want to talk quickly about the mentorship part, and then I would love to add on a little something that we're doing with it.
Of course. So the way that we're having our mentorship is that the mentee will apply online and put everything that they're looking for in their career, the growth they want, what they've been doing, and what they're looking for in a mentor. And then we have volunteers who have applied to be mentors, educators, and so on. And I look through who's going to be the best fit for which person, and not just me. We have a team that's looking through. And then we have the mentor fill out an application, so we can find these exact bullet points that we can line up between mentee and mentor, and we pair them together. Our mentorship is 1 hour per week. So it's 1 day, 1 hour a week for 2 months. So you get 8 hours of mentorship. And this is on the platform that that works well for both of you. So it can be Zoom, it can be phone call, it can be Skype,
Very
FaceTime,
personal.
etc. Yes. It's if you take out just typing to someone and you make it face-to-face or via voice, there's a different connection and a different growth that can happen, a different respect that comes out between the mentee and the mentor. And I think that way you can really, really grow in your craft, especially if you have that connection. How us right now are able to talk and look at each other, you have a full different connection than if it was just over the phone. And so
I think Danessa,
we're trying to nurture that.
I think we've got Danessa on board. Tell us a few of the people that are signed on, that are talking about Support Creatives or that signed on to be mentors. Who can people expect to see involved with this?
So we did an initiative with Sir John and Motorola, and Sir John has voiced to want to be an educator and a mentor as well. We're talking with Sarah Potempa, hairdresser, who's on board as well to be an educator for us. We have James Vincent, and now we're going to be having Danessa as well. And we have a very different background of people. Oddly enough, we had someone write how can I run a salon in a very, very rural area, somewhere where there's no one around? I happen to have the perfect mentor of someone who runs a salon in Virginia, I believe. I hope that's not wrong. In a very small town. It's the perfect fit and the perfect example of all the places. And we're able to pair those people together. So we have people from salon backgrounds, people from freelance backgrounds, and we also have people who have worked with brands and makeup counters or built brands. And it's like the perfect combination of people to get you to wherever you want to be in your career.
You know
And
what I
what
love about what you said is, and a thought came to my mind. You know, I am constantly someone looking for mentorship, and it's interesting. Can somebody who is not new, somebody who's not just starting out, somebody who maybe has been around for 20 years, can they assign them? Can they ask for mentorship? And
Yep.
are there mentors on levels beyond that that they can access? Because I think I want to sign up to be a mentee as well.
You can.
I ask the same question.
We take anyone of any background. Doesn't matter how established you are. For example, I do have a mentor for business side of things, because that I've had my own personal business for 11 or 12 years, but it still doesn't mean that I know that I'm doing it properly. So I still have a mentor on that aspect of things. I still come to James for questions when it comes to our industry. So in my mind, James still is a mentor for me.
Right.
And I'm sure there's people that you still go to, Danessa, when you're like, hey, what do you think of this? Or I'm doing this. We can't do everything ourselves. So no matter how established you are or you think you are,
Right.
you always need mentorship. My line is like always, do you know who I think I am? It's because no one else thinks I'm anything else. Like, do you know who I am? It's like, do you know who I think I am?
Yeah.
And if I think I'm at a certain level, I want to operate there, but I need to know how to operate there. And a mentor helps with that.
Now we've only got a few minutes left to the podcast, and so
I
I
talk
want
a lot.
to talk about
No, so great.
how people can get involved in the program. But I want to say what I'm doing for my mentee, just because I think people want a clear idea of this, is it's an 8-week program that I'm designing specifically around the goals of the person and helping them figure out their portfolio, their social media, their plan, but also giving them an action plan that will allow them to become the person that they want to be at a time where there are a lot of questions, about how to move forward. So I think it's kind of about empowering creatives to move forward. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of it. Now, Mikey, if people do want to get involved on either side of it, what is the process and how can they find out more information?
So you can visit supportcreatives.org or our Instagram, which is supportcreatives. Then we do have a mentorship program that you can just click the link on, read about it, and you can sign up as a mentee. If you would like to be a mentor, we're looking for volunteers. So it's as simple as just going to our volunteer page and selecting mentor. And that way we can analyze and go through everything. Once you have submitted your initial applications, the mentee will have to fill out another application that's a little bit more detailed on what they're looking for. And the same thing with the mentor. We give you the option to upload your resume so we can brag about you to your mentee and get them even more excited. Because the more information you give us, the more we can give them. And then we share the information with each party, the mentor and the mentee, and we make sure that they're both happy with each other before we make that connection for you. And we let the mentor take it from there after a talk about how the program runs. So it is very simple. The simpler it is, the more people that will sign up for the initiative.
Definitely.
If it's complicated, no one's doing it.
So this is
great.
Online education,
Yes.
grant assistance, mentor support, all under the Support Creatives banner. And this is one of the things that I love about the stuff that Danessa and I put together and the stuff that you're putting together. It's people in the industry who are doing it, people who have done it, and people at all levels. Because for me, I think that mentorship is so crucial, as you make your way through the business, like you said, whether you've been doing it 2 years or 20 years. And I'm so excited and appreciative that you guys are putting all of this together. Danessa, any other questions for Mikey about the program?
I'm thinking about how important and how valuable this program is. I even think about just me and my journey. And James, I know I tell the story all the time, but I was in the business for 7 or 8 years, running a business, but had no clue that there was more for me. And I just happened to cross paths with James, and he took me under his wing. And I always go back to thinking about how my life as an artist and just how my business, how everything changed as a result of him taking time to just see more in me than I can see in myself. Like, there were so many things that I didn't even know existed, like a makeup show. I was doing makeup education and training in the hair world and and thought that that was the only opportunity to talk to other artists who are beauty professionals. And he opened up this whole new world for me. And so I think that every single one of us can look back to someone who impacted our career, impacted our life, impacted our trajectory, or just impacted just our thought process. Who's like a James, like you. And I'm just really sitting here thinking about how many lives are going to change as a result of this program, and making it so easy to identify who a potential mentor can be is also great, because, you know, I have lots of mentors in my mind, but can I actually access them? And are they even looking to take anybody on? I mean, your platform just makes it so clear. Everybody who's there wants to be there and is looking for someone to connect to in this way, which I think is really, really beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for creating a platform and a program like this. I think we all need it.
We appreciate it. Michael, if people want to see more of your work outside of Support Creatives, where should they follow and find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Michael Duenas. That's MichaelDuenas. That's where I'm the most active. If you want a plethora of tutorial videos, or me when I am 20 years old thinking I'm good on camera, you can go to YouTube, Michael Duenas. And there's probably like 300 hours of education on there as well. Instagram is definitely my most active. And currently you will see my 2.5-year-old daughter and I wearing a lot of makeup.
That's perfect.
You know, I want to say thank you, Mikey, because I say so often you are a little brother to me, and you know, you're so inspiring to me. You and Danessa really are two people who push me to be better at what I do every day. And I want to say thanks for jumping on with us. I will tell you, I was the officiant when Michael and Melody got married. So
that's amazing.
We're very close. I love this, man. No joke.
This is my family here. And I just want to say thank you for joining Danessa and I today. Well,
I'm honored to be here.
This is another episode for us of the Makeup Show podcast. And, you know, I'm just getting used to the Zoom. Danessa and I are trying to figure out how to get that looking better for you guys. Our YouTube channel is up now, so please head there if you want to see our gorgeous faces. And
Michael's gorgeous smile.
Michael does have that smile. You know, he is an actor and model as well. So head over to YouTube, check it out if you're watching on your favorite if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. And as always, you know, send us and follow us on Instagram. Send us any messages you have. We are truly putting together episodes based on what you guys are asking for.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing this platform with other artists, other creatives, or just anybody who you think finds this information valuable. It means the world to us. We fall in love more and more with the podcast every day. We get more and more comfortable with this whole process every day. And what we love most is connecting with all of you. So thank you so much for joining us every single week. And we look forward to seeing you next week here on the Makeup Show podcast.
Rate, review, follow, share it with your friends. Head on over to Support Creatives and show this industry who you are, what you do, because we are stronger, ladies and gentlemen, when we stay home, and we are stronger when we stand together. We love you guys so much.
Love you. See you next week.
Bye, guys.